Hi, I'm Susan Dietrich. I'm the Disaster Workforce Onboarding and Engagement Lead for the American Red Cross of Massachusetts. You have expressed an interest in volunteering for the disaster workforce. That's great. We have a wonderful group of volunteers, brave, compassionate. We support clients in the worst days of their lives. It's my privilege to welcome you to the orientation of Disaster Cycle Services and to get you started on your path to the workforce. Let's start out by looking at a few slides. This is our mission statement. I think this is why you're here. The American Red Cross prevents and alleviates human suffering in the face of emergencies by mobilizing the power of volunteers and the generosity of donors. Our services span 5 areas: biomedical services, maybe you're a blood donor; preparedness, health and safety services, international services, services to the armed forces, and disaster cycle services. I'm originally from Oklahoma. People in the Midwest live in a disaster cycle. We prepare for tornadoes ahead of time. Children are taught what to do when they hear sirens or when they see a sky like this. When a tornado hits, the community responds. Neighbors help each other. The community and Red Cross are at hand to help, but it takes time and planning to recover from a disaster. And then the disaster cycle repeats itself. In the same way, we have 3 modes of action in the American Red Cross. As an organization, we prepare for disaster. When disaster hits, we respond. Then we help clients and the community recover. You'll hear the term steady state. Sometimes it's called blue skies. This is our time between disasters to prepare and to lessen the impact of destruction. Operational state is during and after the disaster when we're engaged in helping. The term gray skies means operational state, but that term is used less often. Between disasters, we prepare. We install smoke alarms, take disaster classes, teach children and adults what precautions to take for a disaster. Every day, the Red Cross works behind the scenes by contacting volunteers, helping volunteers train, and keeping records. Some of these volunteer activities are available to you now as a disaster cycle services candidate. In the operational state, we respond to disasters, local disasters like home fires, or nationwide disasters, hurricanes, tornadoes, wildfires. In all of these disasters, Red Cross helps people and communities survive the experience, develop a plan, and recover. The Disaster Action Team, commonly known as DAT, generally responds to home fires and sometimes to floods. DAT responders drive to the disaster site, then provide moral support to families. They record client information, provide lodging and funds for short-term help, and make sure that families know their next steps. DAT is one of the most popular volunteer activities, and it is a special need in Massachusetts. For a national disaster, some of our volunteers have the time to deploy for 2 weeks. If you travel to a disaster site, transportation and lodging are provided, and you'll be given a modest stipend to cover basic expenses. But even if you can't leave Massachusetts, you could still deploy to help. Many of our activity positions can be done virtually at home on your computer. We have over 30 activities to choose among, and we'll discuss those in a later class. Today, Let me just talk about one of them. The sheltering activity is needed during a local fire, if many people must move from a building, but it's always needed in a national disaster for evacuation. In sheltering, we provide sleeping accommodations and care for clients in disaster. Although sheltering is just one of the many activities that you can do during a disaster, in Massachusetts, our disaster workforce all initially train in this important area. In the few hours of training, you'll better understand the American Red Cross and disaster cycle services. It's said that Red Cross volunteers run toward a disaster when everyone else runs away. But truly, the volunteers and employees who deploy for disasters are similar in some ways. All in our disaster workforce are compassionate. Knowing about a disaster is not enough for them. They need to help others. Things are chaotic in a disaster. Our disaster workers are flexible and we adapt to changes. And Red Crossers are willing to learn new things to contribute the most to the mission. Does this sound exciting to you? Let's get started. Watching this orientation is the first step. Next, there are a few online courses to take. They cover fundamentals of Red Cross and, of course, sheltering. When you finish these courses, let us know, and you'll be scheduled to learn about other exciting opportunities in Red Cross, to discuss your interests with an advisor, and to choose a path. Now, you made your way to Volunteer Connections homepage, but have you explored it? This is the network for Red Cross. On the left, you see My Profile. Be familiar with your profile. It contains your transcripts of training, and it's where you post when you're available to volunteer. Under your name, you'll see the words Edge, Exchange, and IT Service Desk. The Exchange is a huge library of documents. The IT Desk, well, you know what that is. We all need help with internet and software problems from time to time. The volunteers in IT are here round the clock to help troubleshoot any problems you have. But let's take a closer look at Edge. From the Volunteer Connections homepage, when you click on Edge, you're taken to the Edge homepage. It has many uses, but primarily we use the Browse for Training option. There you will be able to search for video classes, online classes, virtual classes, in-person training. But for now, just use your welcome letter, click on the class links, and you will be taken to the accurate classes in Edge. I know it's challenging to find your way around a new organization. Our onboarding team is here to help you. Deborah Burkholder is the Disaster Workforce Engagement Manager. I'm on the left. We have an outstanding team of territory coordinators: Wendy, Beth, Darby, Tina, and Spencer. The one associated with your territory will be your advisor. Thanks for joining me for the orientation. I hope that the Red Cross mission resonates with you. You're ready to begin your training. You have everything you need in the welcome letter. Check that for course links and also for our contact information. Reach out at any time. We look forward to meeting you in person, and thanks for your service.